Okay, and we are here. And let me just get rid of this. And I'm going to be joined by everybody. And there they come.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
Hello, I'm unmuted.
Excellent, excellent. Gene, are you seeing the live feed? I see it on YouTube and I
Yeah,
see it on Facebook.
now I do. I think so. I mean, I have my phone. I'll look and see.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm seeing it on Facebook.
Yeah, and I see it on both. So
Yeah, it's on there.
awesome, awesome. Hello and welcome, folks, to the to episode 28 of Fright Lounge, the show in which the best horologists in town will discuss horror media in depth and get a conversation going for the newbies and for the seasoned horror viewers alike. I just want to mention my background is odd today because the wife and I just bought a house. We're just moving in, and my office here is still under construction. I've got a lot of things to do, so I don't have my green screen up. I tried going with blurring the background, and it made my here. Let me just show you guys real quick.
A body's gonna fall out of there, isn't it, Roger?
I look like Lobot from Empire Strikes Back. So I'm just gonna not do that. So I, of course, am Rigor from the podcast Then Is Now, The East Meets the West, and the Cult Movie Lounge, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, Bill Van Ryn, Mike Hill, and unfortunately, the Prince Regent of electronic dance music, Dantes Alexander, could not be here today. How you guys doing, Mike and Bill?
Good, good. Happy to be here.
I don't see
Excellent.
George.
I think George left his camera off.
You know what? He had an issue with it before. Let me do this again. I have to
I think
stop.
he had trouble
the
turning it
overlay.
off, and maybe he's having trouble turning it on.
Yeah, I had to do a thing where I asked him to turn it on and it came on. So let's see if George gets here.
There he is.
There he is.
Sorry about that. I don't know what happened. Like I said, I came on here early because this is a different laptop, and I apologize. So,
It's all good.
you can hear me okay, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
okay.
yeah.
Okay, good.
So, folks, if you've noticed, we've got a slightly different format going on, visually speaking here, without the custom background today, because we have two special guests they've appeared several times on Then Is Now podcast, and this is their first time on Fright Lounge. George and Gene from the Drive-In Super Monster Rama. Welcome, guys.
Okay,
Great to be here.
it's like the Brady Bunch.
I was just gonna say that Gene and I think a lot. I was gonna say it's anytime I'm in like a Brady Bunch opening montage universe, I'm happy.
Well, on the page they can only see you when you're talking. Your cam is only
I know.
visible whenever you're talking.
Oh, okay. I didn't know. See, I don't know.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. How about that? Oh, there we go. All right. That's it. I changed it to gallery. Do you guys see that?
Oh,
now?
good. Well, I'm like a minute behind.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's appeared that
Dun,
way.
dun, dun.
Okay,
Awesome.
cool. That's
So,
better.
Da-da-da-da-da.
folks,
There we
George and
go.
Gene are gonna tell us.
Yeah,
all
I
about
was
them.
actually kind of upset
And
today.
Andy Davis says Alice.
I turned on Me TV for background at noon today, and there was no Brady Brunch, and I was slightly.
Oh no.
I was. It was replaced by Andy Griffith.
Oh,
That's on. Andy Griffith's
Fuck
on too
Andy
much.
Griffith.
I think it's on too
Oh,
much.
yeah.
It's on too many channels, and it's on too much.
We need more Three's
Nothing
Company.
against it, but it's on a lot. You know.
Wow, Three's Company is
Fuck it.
awesome.
So George and Gene are going to tell us all about the Drive-In Super Monster Rama, and after that, we're going to go around and talk about the films that scared the crap out of us when we were kids or an adult. But first, before we get into that, when we talked about Blackula a few episodes ago, I was trying to find my record, and now that we've moved, I've been sorting my records, and it's a daunting process in and around everything, in and around everything else. But I have the Dracula LP.
Far out.
It looks like it's in nice shape too.
Wow.
It's practically new. I just got it brand new.
I only have it on. I have the CD. Reproduction of that, but that's nice.
Is that the original, Roger, or is that the reissue?
It's a reissue from recently.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I didn't know they reissued it. Wow.
Yeah.
And blood vinyl, wasn't it? Red vinyl.
I'm trying to remember. I got it.
Well,
in the
just
store. I don't know.
let's see.
It should just be black vinyl since it's Blackula.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think. Oh no, it's not. I know there was a couple of. I think.
Are you sure that looks like an original? I know with that RCA label there. Are you sure that's not an original?
Well, it was brand new. I'm trying to remember now if I ordered.
Maybe
it
it's just in
online.
great shape. Maybe
Yeah.
they probably
Maybe.
made a lot and they kept them in good condition. Yeah. I would think that's an original. Yeah.
Yeah, well, unless they went with retro with the label.
Oh,
I
that
don't
could
know.
be. That could be Bill. I'm not sure. I'm not. I'm not like a vinyl expert, but it looks like a good to me. To me, if you told me that was like a mint condition version of the original pressing, I'd believe it.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
too.
It is. I don't even think I've listened to it yet, but
I know that the theme song is kind of reorchestrated than the way it plays in the actual movie, which was, I guess, common back then because this is the days of like soul music being really popular. And Motown did like some sound, like like you'd have James Brown do. Well, he wasn't on Motown, but he did soundtracks for some of the AIP films. I think Slaughter's Big Ripoff, and so you had like these soul artists doing these soundtracks. So like an LP was a big deal. And American International, when they had like a blaxploitation film, there were quite a few soundtrack LPs that came out. I don't know how well they did.
There were great
Right.
people in the movie too. Hughes Corporation was actually
That's
in
right.
the movie, and they were on the soundtrack too. There was another
Yeah.
group, 21st Century
Look
Limited.
the other way when you.
I love that song.
Isn't that great?
There he is again.
And it was they would have a number one hit, "Rock the Boat," 2 years after the movie came
Yes.
out. Yeah.
Yep.
Rock the boat,
All
rock
right,
the boat,
folks.
baby.
So on September 27th and 28th, 2024, at the Riverside Drive-In in Vandergrift, Pennsylvania, it's going to be 2 nights of horror movies, and it's going to be spectacular. They do it every April and September. So George and Gene, why don't you give the folks at home just sort of a brief brief description of what the event's all about? And
I don't know if it could be brief.
Yeah.
Well, it's been happening since, to be brief about the history of the event. We've been doing this Drive-In Super Monster Rama is the name of the September event, which has been happening at the Riverside Drive-In since 2017. And then we started doing it in April, a few years later. I was able to, convince the theater of doing it in April. And the first time we did it in April, it was a success that we could continue. So it's been every. I think the 1 year we didn't do it, the April event was during COVID, but it's been consistently, every year since 2007, and now the September event. Now we have April as well, which is great because it's hard to wait a whole year to put one of these together. I get really antsy about the event and wanting to do it again. And
I think it's 18 years, isn't it? 18 this year.
Yeah, I've come to the point where I lose track and I forget when we showed what. I used to know this. I mean, like the first 5 to 7 to 8 years, I probably knew every lineup by heart and what. But it's like now, it's like it's been going on so long that I kind of like lose track of when we showed what, and I have to look it up. I used to be able to tell you, but that's how this is almost 20 years, really. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yep.
But we love doing it.
And
Yeah, it's gained a lot of momentum over the last 5 or 6 years, in particular. But Pittsburgh is a tremendously difficult market for horror films and for anything that's non sports oriented, and that's the problem that we faced. Was George was calling up these newspapers and TV stations, and they weren't giving a shit. And finally, Scott Harbaugh from Channel 11 and Sean Collier from Channel 2 and some of the other locals started noticing what was going on because, for instance, Scott's cameraman Jake has been coming, and his father have been coming to the event for over a decade, right? And word of mouth actually worked, but it's just Pittsburgh's very difficult. It just really is. It's hard to market these folks. It has been for everything. My whole life living here. It's just people in Pittsburgh are just not into it. But we've carved a niche, and now it's very successful. So
Yeah, to follow up on what G says, what he's trying to say is that this is an event where people definitely come out of state to attend.
correct.
And because it's 4 movies, 2 nights in a row on a weekend, we made it that way
For $15. For
$15 for a night of it.
It's unheard of.
And
Right.
we made it that way so that they come out, and it's not just to come out drive 7 hours, 8 hours, wherever you're coming from. Or we've had people take planes from California and Florida.
Some Canadian people.
So
Yeah.
we've
Toronto.
made it where it's you come for an event, you can camp, you can stay town, you could do things. And the area has a lot of rich horror history with the Monroeville Mall and the Evans
Cemetery.
Evans City Cemetery.
The house from Creepshow, Braddock, Pennsylvania, for the Martin location, Silence of the Lambs locations, including the house from Silence of the Lambs, which is now a bed and breakfast. An interactive bed and breakfast. I mean, it's just there's so much that, and people live their whole lives in Pittsburgh and have no idea. It's amazing. What George and I constantly laugh about is how the locals out there in Vandergrift have no idea what the hell's going on with this thing.
And that's something against them. It's just because it's Anytown, USA.
Right.
They
have no idea that this event's happening in their backyards. I think they believe the Riverside just makes, a weekend and shows spooky movies, but they don't realize that this event, which has really attracted international attention, that sounds really crazy, but it has. We've sent quite a few T-shirts overseas and stuff too. People just, people that are traveling now for it, and that's a great thing to see.
Well, yeah, as you guys know, the wife and I, we've both flown out and driven out from Maine.
Yes.
And it's a 10-hour drive.
You're a perfect example of what we're trying to attract.
Bill drives in from the north side.
All the way
from Pittsburgh.
A lot of people don't know this. I mean, I'm the event creator, and I live in the suburbs of New York, on Long Island, New York, as you can tell by my accent. So I drive like 7-8 hours to come in for the weekend. I come a day early, so my wife and I, we stay in town, and so I mean that's to show you the dedication. I mean, I'm willing to do it, make a weekend out of it. And,
right.
And now it's like when I first started the event, I have to say I was more of thinking about what I wanted to see on the screen, and now and then there came a point, especially when we started doing April, where I had to really just think what brings in an audience and what brings in a younger audience. So that's when in April we started doing like more later being the 80s, more slasher films and zombie films, like the Romero stuff, the slasher films from the early 80s, and because I knew that would bring in maybe bring in a different crowd, and it did work. So I had to prove to the theater that we could bring in people. So I had to think more of a marketing standpoint going ahead with this event. And now it's like as we'll talk about tonight, how it's
well, and for instance, I'll give you a really good following up George's comments. This show for September is the most sponsored, major label sponsored show that we've had yet. We have Grindhouse releasing, basically sponsoring their copy of The Beyond. We have 2 films from Severin, which is the 4K Opera and the 4K Cemetery Man, both big sellers that just came out. We even have a gentleman from Severin that comes and sells. He was there in spring. He'll be back. And Film Masters did the restoration on two of the corners.
I'll also add that those Severin and Film Masters are handled by AGFA, American Genre Film Archive, who do and they've been great helping to keep this event alive, because they've been making so many films available through their theatrical library now. And it's just another thing that's we've seen happen with this event is that and it was even an article that I shared on our community page that I think it originated from the UK, is that repertory movie experience is seems to be bigger than ever now. People like to go to see older movies in the theater, and there's a lot of these studios doing these new restorations and doing the. So I always can't wait to see what's going to happen next. And we've actually jumped onto a lot of, like, when Blue Underground
that's another one.
Death Dream last year I think we showed it. They were bringing that back in a new restoration as a theatrical. Anytime the Beyond. This is a new presentation from it's like a 4K restoration from as Gene said, Grindhouse releasing. So we jumped on that on the retiring night.
With a new soundtrack. I saw it on.
Yeah.
They were touring it last year, and I saw it. Tim and I saw it at the Row House Cinemas here in Pittsburgh, and I texted George that night, and I said, it's amazing. They've done the most incredible, restoration with this, and the new soundtrack has a whole new feel. And I was like, we have to have it.
Yeah.
We had Impulse for those guys, and they were fantastic.
Yes, Impulse, the William Shatner film directed by William Buffet.
So awesome.
They were doing a new restoration, theatrical presentation of that, and I said, "Better jump on that one." And also, what's great about it is that they'll actually, do a lot of plugging and promoting of the event, which is great. And so it's just a pleasure to work with these studios.
That was a magic moment. Impulse at the Monster Rama was a magic.
I call
moment.
them studios. I mean film label. Like repertory labels, whatever you want to call them.
George, you had mentioned too, I think the last time you guys were on Then Is Now podcast was that your audience is starting to skew younger.
I'm actually tempted to give you a Spinal Tap type answer from the manager. I think their audience is becoming more select. No, seriously. It's been getting younger over the years. Yeah, absolutely. And with this September event on Saturday night, we're actually. We're still retro, but now we're going well into the 90s by showing Cemetery Man, and I still think we're it might be I believe it's a 1994 when it first came out, and that's kind of late for our retro event, but I think it fits the Italian night and it stays true to what we're doing. So I don't think we're going too far off base by maybe showing something a little more. Going into different decades besides 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, which is what we've been doing for the last, 18 years.
Right, well, what else too? I'm seeing our T-shirts everywhere in Pittsburgh, and I love that. Every time I go somewhere, they're wearing a T-shirt, and I text George and go, "Our shirts were in this place or that place," which that's good to see.
How come you don't text me?
Bill is the man that designs the shirts every time out. So credit is due. Give credit where credit is due.
All the time.
I give him
texting Bill.
We throw around an idea and then Bill puts the shirt together like it's.
He does. He
gets
a wizard, full credit. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right. He does it. Yeah.
So, Michael, did you have a question you were going to ask earlier? Or?
I was just going to double check say again what the lineup is for this year. It's two movies each night. We haven't
said it yet. I'm going to read it now. So
okay.
I'll do that right now. So Friday, can you guys hear me okay? Does my microphone sound?
Your microphone is low.
Yes. Yeah. I hear you okay.
Yeah. I hear you fine.
Awesome. All right. So Friday, they're going to pay tribute to one of the grand innovators of the drive-in cinema, producer-director Roger Corman, who passed away in 2024. The fun features that night will be The Raven from 1963, The Terror from 1963, Little Shop of Horrors from 1960s, and Attack of the Crab Monsters from 1957, all directed by the late, great Roger Corman. And then Saturday are going to be 4 macabre features from 4 masters of Italian horror cinema: Lucio Fulci, Dario Argento, Michele Soavi, and Lamberto Bava. The frightful features will be The Beyond from 1981, Opera from 1987, Cemetery Man from 94, and A Blade in the Dark from 1983. So unfortunately, the wife and I are not going to be able to make it this September because
bummer.
Like I said, we just bought a house, so everything's just chaos right now.
You have to give us that blow on here. We're going to miss you.
So, Michael, maybe we can make a plan with you for April. And to go to for all 3.
Yeah, I would love to see if that lines up. Time wise, that'd be great. It'd be great to go down there and check that out for sure.
Let's go into the movies here a little bit. So you've got The Raven, which stars Vincent Price, Boris Karloff, Peter Lorre. I think even Jack Nicholson's in it, right?
Yes. Well, first of all, I'd like to say about the Friday lineup. What happened was originally I wanted to do an entire Italian horror weekend, and Roger Corman passes away at the grand age of 98, which God bless him. He's more important to drive-in cinema than any filmmaker, distributor, that you could think of. He's the man. There's no doubt about it. And we have done a Corman night before where we showed 4 of the Vincent Price, Edgar Allan Poe movies. Haunted Palace being one of them. I don't know. Some people don't think of that more as a Lovecraft movie, but anyway, so we have done a Corman night in that sense where we showed those films. But because he passed away, I'm like, we have to do something because we represent the drive-in. We represent what he's all about. I'm like, and I know there was some things becoming available. So I'm like, well, what do? I got to do a whole Corman weekend. So Gene is like brilliant. It was almost like, you remember the taco commercial where they have the taco, the kid thinks of the taco with the bottom where you could sit. And it's like, why didn't we think of that? And everybody starts jumping up and down. Well, anyway.
Square taco bottom, is that so it can sit?
I'm sorry. I mean flat taco bottom.
Don't give away.
And everybody gets excited.
Taco Bell is spying on us. Don't give away my taco secrets.
No, it wasn't Taco Bell. It was like El Paso or something. The homeboy tacos.
Yeah.
And they get excited. Yeah. Everybody's like, why didn't we think of that? The flat bottom where you could sit the taco and it won't fall. Well, anyway, so Gene thought of the idea, and he's like, that's right. Why don't you do one night of Corman and then one Italian horror night? I'm like, you know what? That's brilliant. That's what we're gonna do. And because of that, we did. I decided, do the Friday the Corman and then Saturday. Always try to make it bigger. I think these Italian horror films might bring in a bigger crowd. So
I can't keep focus on. I just learned Italian. I can't speak it for.
Well, they're all dog. They're all. Well, the thing about Italian. We'll talk about
that's
that.
That's the only reason.
They're in English these films, though. But yeah. Going back to the Raven. Yeah, the Raven is the first movie. I wanted to show one of the Edgar Allan Poe movies, but I wanted to show one we didn't show before. I contacted the studio Park Circus. They have a print of House of Usher that I've been wanting to show for years. Of course, it's been already booked by the time. So I'm like everything's been booked, but he said the Raven was available. So I'm like, I was on the fence about it, and then I decided to go with it. It seems to be getting a good response that we're showing it. We're showing it back to back with the Terror. We're showing it back to back with the Terror, which is kind of, they almost go together. It might be too similar, but because the Terror was the film that Corman squeezed out of Boris Karloff because he still had some days on his contract, and Jack Nicholson's back in it. It was like basically just put together. Supposedly all these different directors worked on it, like Monty Hellman and Jack Hill and all these people, and supposedly Jack Nicholson directed part of it. But yeah, the Raven is a crowd pleaser. I know it's a crowd pleaser because of the cast and because it's just a fun. I think it's gone down as, or it's known as one of like the better horror comedies.
Right. And here we have a newspaper ad. It's from it's from Canada, the Calgary Albertan from October 12th.
Calgary. That's good.
So, but then this
Nice.
one was also, I don't know. Oh, there we go. It's zooming in. This, I'm trying to remember if this was from the same newspaper or it might have been a different paper. But it's sort of a scene from the film there. But then of course you get John Cocteau was a French director.
And you know what? I'm wearing a Cocteau twin shirt today. So this is
weird.
He directed Beauty and the Beast, right?
There you go.
Yes.
what a weird thing.
That is
Seriously, you are?
Yeah, I'm wearing the Cocteau twins. Look.
Wow.
That's hilarious.
The sign of some sort.
It is, Bill. It is. My God, the doorway is opening.
I have to say the Raven, I'm not a super fan of. I've seen it many times, but it's like I think the comedy I just didn't really care for. in it.
But that, you know what,
I mean?
and I
It's like-
agree. I agree with you. The first time I felt the same way, and I saw this movie back when it ran. It was part of a package which Channel 4 purchased, and it was on a Sunday morning. George can probably elaborate on those.
Well, I'm gonna,
those packages.
Well, I'll tell you, it was part of in New York growing up. Our ABC affiliate, Channel 7, had
Yes.
most of the Vincent Price and especially the Edgar Allan Poe ones. Now we had a thing called the 4:30 movie, which I learned later is a lot of states had this same kind of thing, or the 3:30 movie, the 4 o'clock movie. Well, anyway, so I saw it on the 4:30 movie. Now you talk about it being too funny, but Roger was talking about stuff that scared the crap out of us as we were kids. There's a part in that movie that always like terrified me when I was a kid watching this thing, where Vincent Price as the wizard goes with he needs to get a piece of dead man's hair out of the crypt to make a potion to help Peter Lorre go back from a raven to a man. So he goes into his father's coffin in the crypt, and the father is like, all just shriveled up and like corpsey looking, and like really pretty, even when I watch it today, I think it's pretty
corpsey,
creepy. And he goes, he says, and he does something like he like puts his hand up to the sun. He goes, "Beware." And I remember like every time, like that scared the crap out of me. And every time that scene would come on, when the film aired again, I would be like getting ready for it to be like, a little bit scared, and like I couldn't wait to get past it. Much like the scene in the Pendulum where they have the fake corpse for Barbara Steele's character, because she's what
Yes.
and it's like a buried alive, woman, and her mouth is open, and it's like that part always like
That
terrified
was
me. So
really
when it was
scary.
coming up, yeah, it was like the same kind of so I must have had a thing about I was scared of like decrepit looking corpses,
The ending.
that was my fear as a kid. I mean, it was one of the things that freaked me out, I guess.
I'm actually not going to say what I was just going to say. I'll save it for later on, because it was the ending of one of his movies that always scared me. But
I had to use that because we talk about the Raven. That's the only reason why I mentioned it. I almost forgot about it until we started talking about it.
Well, when Corman died, I re-listened to his interview on Gilbert Gottfried's podcast, and he said that when he was filming the Raven, he was going to go golfing because they worked during the week, and then the weekends they would have off, and he was going to go golfing on one weekend between. I think he was only shooting for 2 weeks, anyways. And he's like, it rained, so he couldn't go. So he's like, well, we got this set here. Jack Nicholson's here. Your Boris Karloff's here. Let's make another movie. And they just threw it together over the weekend.
And unfortunately, Boris Karloff, I don't think he had a good memory of working with Corman because of that. He kind of like, I guess he felt he was, overworked or whatever. But yeah, unlike Vincent Price, who got along with him very well. Yeah.
Wonder what was worse, making those movies with Corman or those movies where he got sick in Mexico?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Which in fact is, you could tie that with the Terror, because Jack Hill supposedly worked on a Terror. I think he's credited, yeah. So he did work on it, but he's the one that also did all those all the scenes for those the 4 Mexican films he did in the late '60s.
Oh, that's from Pittsburgh.
And yes, the Pittsburgh Press.
Wow, fascinating, right?
All those places are close. The Datola. Oh my God, the Datola in New Kensington. I remember that place. It went porn in the 70s. But I remember stuff like tentacles showing at the Datola. And then shortly after that, it was porn.
I just want to interrupt you, but you talk about tentacles. We had that scheduled for the April. I think it was the April Ghouls, right? That didn't happen because of COVID. Yeah,
April Ghouls.
And it's like I spent a lot of money. Well, I was gonna spend. I didn't end up because we canceled it. It was like I was gonna spend a good amount of money booking that film from Park Circus.
Tentacle.
And I just watched it again recently. I mean, And I love bad movies, but that is god awful.
We did it on the show like about a month
It's
ago.
just
We did it on the
terrible.
show. And it was
And
terrible.
you know what's funny is that
I still
did
love
you guys also notice that music is recycled in
It's
is it
Cam.
Fury of the Wolfman, isn't it? What it's
Yes,
one of the
because it's
Nashi
well,
films.
some of the Nashi films. Well, it was a company known as Cam, and I guess that it was like using stock music, so it was kept getting recycled. Yes, Gene's right though. It was used in Return of the Werewolf, aka The Craving, from 1980-81.
There was a Polizio Testi movie that used it before that. It's even older than that. It goes all the way back to like the 60s, I think.
A lot of the Nashi films used the Cam music. I think even like Mario Bava's Whipping the Body used that. It's used in numerous films. Yeah. And
that is Silvio Cipriani, though. It is him that wrote that.
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah.
So, do any of you know what this is on the ad here? We've got you must pass the D13 test.
It was a gimmick. It was like a gimmick. Was it like an on-screen like hypnotist?
It was
or
about
something?
it was your breast size, wasn't it? Your breast size.
Yeah, well,
I
think D would pass. Yeah,
double D.
A 13-year-old with D. Yeah.
I would think it would be more.
I thought it was some kind of hip. This is one of those things I know and I forgot. It's like,
Excuse me, films to scare you, like, oh, you can't see the movie unless you
It's a typical AIP gimmick.
Yeah.
So, so that's again, I want to say it, but I'm going to say it later. But there's something in the terror that really, excuse me, no pun intended, terrified me. So, all right, so I shut this off by accident, but I'm going to go back to this because the next film, I believe, is Little Shop of Horrors, correct?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Double feature with The Last Woman on Earth, at least in Brownsville, wherever that is.
And there's that House of Usher that I would have had if I could have got it for this show, but
yep,
maybe some other time,
That was good. I rewatched that for our Corman show. That was really good. I forgot.
Well, that's the starting point of those films, and that started a lot. That House of Usher, because it was the first time that they realized they didn't have to make double features. They could spend more money on a film shot scope, color, gothic sets, and get a real bona fide, star that, I mean, his career, Vincent Price's career was revitalized in the 60s because of that film,
Yeah.
I mean, he had done, a lot of horror films prior to that, but in the 60s, he became like a major horror star once again, and for the rest of his life because of that starting point of House of Usher and the AIP era. Because he became under contract with them, of course, and was working for the next 15 years.
Was House of Wax? It was like
1953.
Yeah. So that put him on the map, but then, like you said, he sort of.
But don't forget, he was a Universal. I mean, he played the Invisible Man, and he was in Tower of London. So I mean, with Karloff and Basil Rathbone, that's 1939. So I mean,
wasn't it?
He was no, that was the remake, which he did do too. Corman did a remake of it in the 60s, but this is the 1939 Universal film that I'm referring to.
Right. So Little Shop of Horrors. What do you guys got to say about this? How did you pick this one over other Corman films?
Because it was available.
It's remastered. I mean, it's
Filmmasters made it available,
right?
And
Why? Here's the question I would say to you: why would you not? Because here's the big reason from a marketing standpoint. What Roger Corman film resonated with younger people and became a musical play. I mean, if you're trying to attract people to see a movie that's the origin of what they like now, the best thing to choose is Little Shop of Horrors. It's a classic. I mean, it's the source material, and it was a no-brainer. It was remastered with The Terror, which was perfect. And again, when you say Roger Corman, so many people go, "Oh, Little Shop of Horrors." That movie wasn't a big deal to George and I and you other guys. I mean, we're all the same age, right? That thing was on constantly when I was a kid. Right. When I was a kid, it was on constantly, and it was like funny one time, and then it was like this is horrible, but it became a musical, and it was hugely successful. And I have to tell you guys, I've never sat through the musical. I think if I have, I don't remember it. I hate musicals, and I'm not a fan of it. But Tim is in the other room here. Tim thinks it's really good. So,
What did you
Jen-
think of the 1986 movie version of the musical? Because I saw it in the
didn't
movie
like
theater,
it.
and I didn't hate it. I didn't like it. It really didn't make a big
Ugh,
impression.
bleh.
That's how I was. It
I
didn't make an impression on me.
I mean, I'm not knocking anybody. I could see why people would like it, but it's just
I mean,
like
it's sort of
you
like
know,
Hairspray. Isn't
I
it
love
like,
Rick
is it like the
Moranis.
movie Hairspray?
It had a happy ending.
Hairspray was better, and then it became a musical. It wasn't as good. I'm not a big fan of musicals. I'm sorry, but you know what? It still plays everywhere. People love it. I mean, and you're certainly not going to bring younger people.
We
There's
might have
yeah,
people come and thinking it's the
right.
1986 version.
There's a
But it's made clear everywhere that it's not.
right, and you
So
know what? The other thing too is there's a really weird subculture of like younger fans that hate black and white movies and TV
yeah,
shows. They really don't like them. And to me, that's completely fucked up. I mean, it's
it
not the
is.
fact that, but you know what? I love those movies. Tim and I were
I
sitting here watching old, the giant monster movies, the bugs and stuff this past week. And Tim said to me, you really have a fondness for these old black and white movies. And it wasn't a negative thing he was saying. It's very true. And
yeah
I talked to actually Kyra Schoen this week, and she said the same thing. She goes, it's not just our generation. There's something about that black and white Christmas and the 50s and the whole thought of the giant monsters and the atomic war and all this stuff. But today, kids look at these movies and go, it's black and white. I don't want to watch that. That's yuck.
yeah,
Who
and I
wants to
mean
see that?
I'm of the age. I'm sure a lot of you guys are. Where growing up in the 70s, I had a black and white TV in my bedroom.
Yes,
Apart from our family TV, and I knew the difference.
Right.
I mean, even then, as a kid, I mean, I'm not like saying I'm a genius, but as a kid, I knew like that these shows were older, like Father Knows Best, Abbott and Costello, Burns and Allen.
Sure.
And I knew that they were black and white. And I knew the difference, and I knew like there were like Popeye cartoons that were in black and white, and the early Superman episodes were in black and white. So there was, I mean, and I never had a problem with it. It's like I never wanted. The only black and white thing I have a problem with is the first season of Gilligan's Island, but that's a different story. That's another story.
I actually have it in color.
I mean, but those episodes, the first season of Gilligan's Island, it's not bad. I mean, I don't hate it. I love that show to death. But to me, it's like the second and third seasons where it's like it just when it's in the color where it went into its groove. I mean,
look at Lost in Space first season.
But I love Black. Yeah, and that was fun.
Genie.
I Dream of Jeannie. Bewitched.
Lost in Space, the first season was the best. He didn't, he wasn't, he didn't turn it into a weird multicolored psychedelic, monster fest, which was fun, but there was actually some quality acting and production.
It did get psychedelic.
Of Lost in. I did it. I got it on Blu-ray. The goddamn thing. It's like if you were on acid, you'd have brain damage from watching it. The color combinations are absolutely crazy. Irwin Allen was indeed a master. When you look at all of these shows, I mean, think about how many shows that he had in the '60s. He was everywhere. It's like dominating television.
The Time Tunnel.
Yeah.
The Time Tunnel.
It's about time.
We just lost James Darren.
Oh, that was the other one.
Time Tunnel.
No, It's About Time is Sherwood Schwartz.
Sherwood Schwartz, yeah.
That was the Gilligan's Island.
It turned into a weird alien thing. He couldn't leave it alone either. But I mean, but it's reflective of the time the same way as the Batman series was. It's by no means good, but it's colorful and loud and musical and wacky, and and it's not black and white, so kids will watch it. So
right.
Well, if it started in '66, like Star Trek and Batman.
Yes,
they were like
yes,
they were going into that color. Everything had to be color by then.
Sure,
but you name all the TV shows that went from black and white to color. You could be here forever. F Troop. What else? We named it Gilligan's Bewitched.
We just watched the first. We just watched the first season of Lucy, the Lucy show with her and Viv, black and white. And actually tonight, that's our bedtime TV series, believe it or not. That sounds really silly, but that's what we watch
No,
for your
I
Viv.
put the
And it's
honeymoon
going to
movies
be
on
the
to go to
second
sleep,
season tonight. Yeah.
especially
So
when I gotta get up
yeah.
early. I just put them. I
Yeah.
put them on. And
Speaking of black and white, let's move on to the next one, which is and these were I couldn't find any large ones of these, but basically Attack of the Crab Monsters. We have a whole bunch of different.
And speaking of Gilligan's Island, Russell Johnson is in this
Yeah,
one.
the
That's right.
professor.
Yep.
He's in everything from the 1950s.
And he's great. I loved him. I was able to get his autograph through the mail before he passed away.
Wow. Impressive.
I think it was Bob Denver's wife, Dreama, set up like a thing for Russell where he could, do mail order, and like for a reasonable $15 or something, he would, you write to him and say what you want written on it, and he would send you like an 8x10 or whatever you wanted. And
That's
yeah,
awesome.
I wish I got him. I always liked him. He
Yeah.
did a film, which I know Bill knows this one. He did a film, what was that, Hitchhike to Hell,
Yeah.
where he's the cop. I think he's just great in that movie. I wish he did more like 70s exploitation movies, because he's really good in that,
I'll have to check that one out. He was also in This Island Earth, and I remember the Mystery Science Theater version. He walks onto the scene for the first time, and Mike goes, "What's all this and the rest crap?"
Yeah.
We just saw him in that. We watched the theme for this week here at the house was alien invasion films, and we watched him in the Space Children. We watched
Space
him
Children.
in that film.
He's a real bastard in that one, right? He's like that mean father.
He
Yeah.
gets killed.
That's
Was
a Jack
he also
Arnold
in-
movie. Yeah.
Was he also in It Came from Outer Space too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure,
and we
was.
saw him in that this week.
So
We
he
saw
had
him
like
in
a little run
3
of
movies. Right.
He had a little run of like 50 science fiction movies, which is great, part of a great career. If you look him up, he did a lot. He did a lot of TV. I thought he was great. It's too bad he was but he never like whenever they did reunion things and the reunion movies, and then like Family Feud episodes where they get the cast as he never, he was okay. He was always fine with it. He always seemed great about it, so God loves Russell Johnson.
And I love Attack of the Crab Monsters, and I'll tell you why. It was a staple on Channel 2 Saturday afternoons in the 70s when I was watching it here in Pittsburgh. And I always thought it was particularly terrifying because you had this island that was slowly eroding into the ocean, and these mutant crabs that would eat people, then they would use their thoughts and speak in their voices and lure people to their death. And as a kid, that really screwed me up as a kid. I mean, every day the island was smaller and these crabs were giant and they were coming after him. And I think it's a great 1950s movie. I mean, I don't think it's really silly. I think it's actually played pretty straight, and it's not a bad film
I'm
at
glad
all.
I'm glad I was able to get this, because they had the AGFA had it listed, and they weren't sure if it was really available. And in fact, it was. But you don't even know what the runner-up would have been if I couldn't get that film.
Oh,
what was it?
I know what it is?
Maybe.
What was it?
It's
You
an
want me to
early.
get-
Yeah, you can take a guess. It's like an early Corman science fiction.
Monster from the Haunted Sea or Monster from the
No,
Haunted Cave.
No, Beast from the
Beast from the
Haunted
Haunted
Cave.
Sea.
That was directed by. Well, these were all Corman directed.
From the Haunted Cave Sea. Oh my
That's
God.
a Monty Hellman. That's a Monty Hellman.
Are you talking about the Ski
No.
Lodge one?
Which one?
No. It's the one. The Creature from the Haunted Sea would have been the backup.
Oh, I love that
Which
one.
is
I love the song. Any movie that
it's
has
an
a
acquired
song.
taste.
There's like a
It was
theme
shot in
song.
Puerto. It was one of the ones he shot.
It's horrible.
It's horrible. It was shot in Puerto Rico. It's really dumb.
I love it.
But I watch it. But like Billy, like you said, I'll watch it over and over again for some reason.
It looks great remastered. Film Masters did a beautiful job with it.
Well, that's why it was available, because.
Yeah.
But I got
right.
I think Attack of the Crab Monsters is more of a crowd pleaser.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
Looking at these newspaper ads, I have a question for you guys, because obviously I know what Not of This Earth is, and it was paired with it quite a bit. But what's Strange Intruder and Man Beast? I don't recall.
Man Beast is a Jerry Warren film about a abominable snowman in the Himalayas.
Yeah, I just watched that recently. It's on Tubi if you want to see it.
It's like 65 minutes of torture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's awful.
No, I watch
It's
it.
really
No,
awful.
no, you know what?
It's
I
awful.
watch. It's one of those films I'll watch like repeatedly because I remember seeing it on Saturday morning as a kid on Channel 9. So I've been very nostalgic in my older age. So
Scooby-Doo is more terrifying than this film. It's like
yeah,
a bunch of people go on a vacation and
I
there's a
just
monster
I
and
just
it
read
stands
that.
on top of a hill in the snow and growls and then
I think I read.
something happens, I don't know, and then it says over and that's all I remember.
I think I read that the
Mutilated.
suit was recycled from like a cereal or something or another
God.
movie. So I wish I'd remembered that for this, but
What about
the suit and the other one I don't. What was the other one called?
Strange Intruder?
Strange Intruder.
I think that's the name of a marital aid. Roger.
Well, it's got Edmund Purdom.
And Ida Lupino. Isn't that the one where
I'm not familiar with it. I know both actors very well, but I don't.
Intruder.
What are we getting?
It takes A batteries, doesn't it?
Oh,
All right, let's keep. This is a G-rated show, people.
Oh, it's
No,
not
it's not.
G-rated.
No, not really.
Kids are not watching.
Yeah, we're in black and white.
This is these were released by Allied. These were Roger Corman's films that he did for Allied Artists, along with War of the Satellites. These were not AIP.
Yes.
These were United Artists, Allied Artists. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I watched War of the Satellites last night. Actually, it's Strange World.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the Antonio Margheriti film or?
No. This is a Corman film from the late 50s.
Okay.
Science fiction thing.
All right. So just to recap here, where are my notes here? All right. So Friday, the September 27th, you guys are going to play these 4 Corman films: The Raven, The Terror, The Little Shop of Horrors.
That he directed, and they were all directed by him because I know he produced, distributed. We've shown a lot of stuff that he produced, distributed, and not so much. Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna move on to Saturday. You still?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. So Saturday, you've got this awesome lineup that we mentioned. We've got The Beyond, Opera, Cemetery Man, and A Blade in the Dark, which I had never heard of. I never saw. I watched it in preparation for this, and I thought it was really good. But Seven Doors of Death, it was the original title of The Beyond. I remember renting that.
Well, it's the American theatrical title of the,
right,
and it was cut, and it was a cut version of the.
It's become one of my faves. Michael, didn't you go with me in 1998? They re-released it at the Coolidge Corner Theater. Oh, Michael's not even there.
He's not there. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
He's lost in a. He's
no,
lost
Roger.
in a forest.
Yeah, it was.
All alone.
Quentin Tarantino re-released, I think, through the Rolling Thunder Pictures.
Yeah.
At that time, he done some re-releases in the late '90s, and that was one of them because I saw it in Manhattan, and I think he also did the Mighty Peking Man and the Jack Hill one, Switchblade Sisters. So he done he did some re-releases, and that was The Beyond was one of them, and it was great to see that in the late '90s because the film wasn't. I'd never seen it in the theater when it came out as Seven Doors Down. I know people.
Did you get an eyeball? They gave away eyeballs.
I believe so. Yeah, I think I got a barf bag too.
That's funny. So, Michael, do you remember when they re-released The Beyond in 1998? And did you go with me to Coolidge Corner Theater to see it? I think I was videotaping the event for a cable show I was doing. Was it Haunting Grounds, maybe? Yes, it was. And you were hosting outside of the Coolidge Corner Theater. And we got to see The Beyond for free, which was awesome.
Yes. I do remember that now. Yeah, vaguely.
Yeah. That was the release where they had remastered it then, and now I assume there's what were you saying? Were you saying, Gene? There's like a 4K version out now?
Yeah.
4K restoration and a new soundtrack by Fabio Frizzi, isn't it? It's completely different. I didn't. I saw it we saw it in a packed theater. It sold out. It was about a year ago when they were touring it here in Pittsburgh. And at first I didn't notice the change in the soundtrack, but a lot of the people in the audience were big Fulci fans. So afterwards we were talking to quite a few people. So some of the nuances was and changes were pointed out. It's just a great movie. It's something that has been brewing for years with George and myself for the event, because we've shown the other Fulci films, and it was like the one odd one that didn't get shown yet. House by the Cemetery has been shown, and Zombie, and what's the other one that we showed? There was another one too, wasn't there? Did we do?
We didn't show Gates of Hell yet.
We have not shown Gates of Hell
But
yet.
we
That's
did
the other one,
show.
so.
We showed one of his giallos.
Right.
Was it Don't Torture a Duckling, right?
Right.
No, you showed.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. It
Lizard
was
and Woman's
no.
Skin.
It's Lizard and Woman's Skin. Schizoid. Yeah. Not yet. I don't know if Don't Torture a Duckling is too much for the drive-in, but for our audience, I don't know. I've been wanting to show that one because I loved it, but.
We had people at that Jaleo Fest leave because they said they were disturbed by the violence towards women. Oh well, sorry.
I mean, violence towards women is a terrible thing, believe me. But these are
It's a
just movies.
Jaleo,
It's a murder mystery.
people.
Yeah,
Exactly.
we didn't.
Somebody has to die, so it's a beautiful woman. Why is that a problem?
Yeah. Yeah.
And by the way, folks at home, if you want to chime in about any of these movies, or if you have questions about the Drive-In Super Monster Rama, please put them in the chat, either on our Facebook, our Facebook Fright Lounge page, or our YouTube page, which obviously I don't have.
And we also have taco recipes too, apparently.
Apparently,
work very, very well.
Here's the American.
I meant El Paso taco commercial, not taco.
And the bottom of the taco is flat, so that if you sit it down, it doesn't roll.
That's
over.
right.
Exactly.
And then people jump up and down
well.
in celebration. And I was giving a goddamn compliment to Gene using that commercial as an example.
As an
of
example.
people celebrating, going, why didn't we think of that? That's all.
Exactly.
It's
Okay.
too bad that commercial's forgotten now already.
Remember it. What are you talking about?
I'm glad somebody does.
I do.
But I hate tacos. I hate Mexican food, so I don't eat any of that.
Oh,
What?
Lucy.
Mexican food.
Very naughty.
Oh, too bad. So, anyways, this is, of course, the Seven Doors of Death release in the U.S. of the Beyond. And the author of Texas Chainsaw Massacre said it was one of the most frightening horror films he's ever seen.
What's that
So
quote
did the
say? I
director.
laughed, I cried, I kissed $3 goodbye. Now this theatrical release, I don't think this happened until about 1985, which is
84 actually.
84. Yeah, so it's a few years after the movie was first released.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Or first made.
So this is all Los Angeles.
That seemed, that was the thing, right? Gee, with a lot of these 80s, late 70s, early 80s
Yeah.
sci-fi films, we get them like so many years later, right? Right, Bill?
Right.
I mean, it was like, because you do all the ads, and you
Yeah.
know that they're like years after. Sometimes I think House by the Cemetery, another one.
I
That came
saw
out
House
what,
by the
84?
Cemetery.
That was
I
84.
saw House by the
yeah.
Cemetery.
But it was made in
the theater.
81. Yeah.
It came out in Italy in 81. Yeah.
Yeah,
A lot of things
so-
were like that.
Even Zombie was like a year late over here.
I saw those films in the 1980s. I can't remember the exact year, but I saw House by the Cemetery, and it was a limited engagement. It was released and ran like 1 week, and I saw it, and I saw Zombie the same way, and Demons the same way. But
I remember at theater
the
New York
timeline was.
playing it
No.
playing House by the Cemetery, a double feature with Children of the Corn.
Wow.
It was 84.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So let's move on to the next film that we've got going on here, which this is from Opera. This is sort of, I couldn't find any newspaper ads, but Bill, you sent me them, so I'll download them real quick here because I forgot to do that.
It's nothing really exciting because that movie didn't really get released in the United States.
I saw it, like the first time I saw it was in our local art house theater,
Yeah.
and it was probably like by the early 90s already, but hadn't been shown before.
In like 91 and 92, it was playing
Yeah.
midnight movies and art
That's when I
houses.
saw it. That's exactly when I saw it. Yeah.
But there were only a few dates that you could find in a newspaper, and I found 2 of them. But that was really the first time that it had ever been screened. On the show, some people commented and said that they saw Terror at the Opera in the theater. I would love proof because I
Yeah.
searched really hard
I
to
don't
find
remember
one
that. I
theater.
don't remember it ever running in Pittsburgh. In fact, the way that I saw it was incredibly strange video. I
Me
think that
too.
Bruce
Yes.
actually got it in, and that was exactly how I saw it. And that was back in whatever day that was. I mean, you might know what year that was, but it did not. It was
Well,
not in the theaters here at all. There's
it
no
was the
way.
later, it was like 96,
Yeah,
95 or
definitely.
96,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yes.
I
Yes.
feel like I bought it sight unseen from Anchor Bay, but I don't know. Before I rented it at
I got it from
Incredibly
a
Strange.
real cheap distributor. It was the ones they had done House on Haunted Hill. It was the blue covered video case, DVD cases. I
Yeah.
can't remember, but I remember seeing it. It was like $1 or something. Oh, I have to have this.
Here's one of those art house screenings.
Now, what year is this art house screen?
This is 92,
Yeah, that's probably when I saw it. That's
91
gotta
or
be.
92. I can't
Yeah,
remember.
that's exact because that's when I remember seeing it. It was definitely the early '90s. So
Let me check.
yeah,
Adobe Theater.
The Joby. Doobie.
An aria of horror. What the heck does that even mean? What's an aria?
like
Opera.
Aria is like a.
symphony.
Oh, this was 1990. This was September 7th, 1990 at the Dobie.
Wow. So it's pretty new because
That was still a couple years late. I think
Yeah.
87 is when it played in
yeah,
Italy.
'87 is when it played in Italy, and then you always see it. You often see an '88 release date for, but you're right, it's '87 actually.
This was
When-
going to be a pretty big release because Orion Pictures was going to put it out. They were the ones who optioned it for it was a cut version, of course, titled
Right.
Terror at the Opera, and it was going to be missing the final scene in the film, which so many of those imports were.
yeah.
Like all the colors of the dark cuts the last 20 minutes out of the movie, which really makes it make no sense.
Bill, did we cover this one already? Or
No, we never talked about
No.
opera.
all right, well,
No.
that's to our list.
It's interesting because Argento films were getting distribution at that time. I mean, look at all including Phenomena. Phenomena wasn't that long before, was it? That went before Opera came out. How many years was that, or was it after it?
Yeah, it was like 5 years before opera. Well, by
Yeah,
the
I
time
saw that. I saw
by
it
the
as
time they played the
Creepers.
States.
I saw it as Creepers in the theater.
Yeah.
Yeah, played its Creepers. Yep.
I think that was like 85.
Yeah, '85. Yeah.
This was Christina Marcellak finds herself in quite a bind at the hands of a psychopathic killer in Dario Argento's
He's so mean.
grisly metaphoric film opera. This is from the Austin American Statesman from 1990, from August. So
Oh, I think that's where that Dobie clipping was from.
probably, yeah. I think
Dobe.
you know, I may have seen that and not realized it was opera because the word Dobie was so huge on it.
An aria of horror.
And then let me go back down to see.
We're getting into a weird aria here.
Cemetery Man.
Drum roll.
Yes, but we are in fact getting into a weird aria.
Have you seen this one, Michael? I saw this in Cambridge.
Cemetery Man. No, it
It's-
reminds me of another. What am I thinking of? What's the other? Oh, I'm thinking of Lawnmower Man.
Oh, yeah.
No, Cemetery Man.
No,
No,
I
Lawnmower
saw
Man.
it.
haven't
I
seen
saw it, and I actually saw the movie. I saw the movie in the theater when it came out, and
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think many people did, and I remember having gone and seen it and telling people about it, and they were like, "What the hell is that?" I mean, it was sort of like a comedy version of The Evil Dead, is what people were sort of comparing it to back in the day.
Oh.
But I had no idea that this film. I mean, I knew that Rupert Everett went on to have a successful career, but I didn't realize that this movie, until we did research for the trailer, that it was the most successful zombie film of the '90s. I guess there weren't very many zombie films in the
Right.
'90s at all.
There were like some Fulci zombie sequels, but yeah,
There must not have been very
slim
many.
pickets. It's slim pickets. Yeah.
It's very much a comedy. It's a very esoteric and strange film. I mean, it's very unusual, but it fits into, I think, what so many of the younger people today like, and I think it has a very big appeal. I think it's another film which has grown over the years to be much more um exciting than what it was originally when it was out
Yeah.
because I liked it, and I even
It's
bought
more-
the import
yeah.
Blu-ray or DVD back in the day.
It's more popular now than it was in the 90s. That's for sure.
Right.
At least
Absolutely.
here. At least here. You know.
Right.
Yeah, I saw it when it was
In
released.
the United States.
It's Mike Hill. It's basically about this dude who's a gravedigger, and the dead keep coming back to life, and he has to keep killing them and putting them back in the graves.
Oh,
It's a really fun
sounds
movie.
fun. Yeah.
It's a comedy version of The Evil Dead. Just believe it. Call it that.
Evil Dead 2 is kind of a comedy.
He does
too.
kind of look like
Evil
Bruce
Dead has
Campbell
its
a
own
little
comic
bit.
elements. Yeah.
Not well, the first one not so much, but it
Not the
definitely
first
turned
one.
into a comedy after that. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, all right. So let me share the next one here, which is I can't see because I've got my camera's like right in the middle of my screen. Here we go. All right. So this, and when Bill gets back, he'll be able to explain it more in person.
Well,
are you
he's
guys-
missing.
Oh, there
Bye,
we go.
Yeah.
Bill.
Okay.
Oh,
He went
because
to
I
pull his stuff out.
It
this
was
did not
released
get
on
a
video.
theatrical release, did it? Yeah, no, it did get
have a theatrical release. So
Wasn't it shot for a? Well, I think it was originally shot for Italian. Was it shot for
Excuse
Italian
me.
television?
What was?
Blade in the Dark.
But this is the only one, and it's on Tubi, and I recommend it because I watched it and I thought it was really enjoyable. I liked it. I had never heard of it, and I'm a fan of.
Well, that's kind of. I mean, that's like one of the reasons why I got it because because of its reputation, and because it's directed by Lombardo Bava. I wanted like examples of 4 different directors, 4 different movies, and of what you would call modern Italian horror films. So I just settled it on this one. Again,
It's you know what? It's
because it's a slasher film. It's a giallo.
Yes,
it's early 80s. The 80s
not to
are
sound rude or anything, but it's generic. It fits all of the appropriate.
Right.
All the appropriate elements are there, and that not. I mean, by saying generic, I'm not trying to say that it's a bad film. I'm just saying that it fits all the appropriate elements that would end this night properly, and that's why it was a good choice.
It's a drive-in movie.
You know,
right?
Exactly.
It's a drive-in movie.
Right.
It fits. You know.
Yeah.
Nothing particularly special about it, but it does. It has all the right moves to make it successful.
It
gets the job done.
You know,
exactly.
Some people adore it. You know.
I think I had read an article about it in the Boston Globe saying that it was coming, and it was talking about the film, and I was like, "Ooh, I got to see this!" So I went and saw it.
I saw it from Anchor Bay on a I think it was on a double set, wasn't it, George? Was it released or was it? Am I crazy here? Wasn't it?
Maybe with Macabre. It was like a Lombardo Bava double feature.
Yeah, I think so. Right? Yeah.
I think they did
double.
Do it as a double feature at one time on DVD.
I like the title. The title's cool. Blade in the Dark.
Yeah, the original.
It's a heavy metal album. Blade in the Dark.
The Blade in the Dark.
Spinal Tap.
That's my other career when I'm not doing Monster Rama. I've joined a Viking heavy metal band.
Nice. That's awesome.
I'll be performing at Monster Rama. Anyway,
the Italian title for this is La Casa con la Scala nel Buio, which means the house with the staircase in the dark.
Yeah, I know. Is that? I mean, yeah. You have to wonder where the hell Blade in the Dark came from. Simplification for English translation as a title. Yeah. Where did that come from? With this extremely long, title, Italian title. It's so long.
More of an audience than Staircase in the Dark would have if they just called it,
Yeah, right, it's a movie where people fall down a lot. They fall down a lot, It's like we can't turn the light on, so you have to go down the staircase in the dark. Exactly. How awful.
Are you okay?
Bill, this is the same one that you found from with the video release of Blade in the Dark from 1986.
Yeah, I got all excited and I thought maybe it was a theatrical engagement.
No.
Right, I'm disappearing for a moment. I'll see you guys in a few seconds.
You can never trust anything that you see on IMDb because there are so many movies that I could never find a release date in the United States for them. But IMDb will swear there's a U.S. release date for this in 1986. It says limited release.
You're in the bathroom.
Well, I would really like to know. Oh, Gene left his mic.
Gene left his microphone on. It's going to the
What
bathroom.
are we gonna hear now?
Yeah.
I don't know, but it sounds like it'll be like something on Hollywood Nights.
Back in like 1990, I was doing a cable show and I had a wireless mic on, and we recorded whatever segment it was, and I went to use the bathroom and I forgot to shut the mic off, so everybody's watching the footage back and you could hear me over it. It was like the Naked Gun. I was like whistling.
Oh my god.
Oh.
Da-da-da-da-da.
Oh yeah,
The worst is when you start talking to yourself and you don't realize that you're talking to yourself, and then somebody else hears you. So what the fuck were you doing?
you're like,
You know. Yeah.
So I'm trying to see some of the other movies here too. You got the Acts of Violence, Charlie and the Great Balloon Chase, Tiger.
Acts of Violence. I hate violent movies.
What?
And you got to watch Charlie and the Balloon Chase.
Yeah. But Young
No,
Lady
Violins.
too had Adam West in it. I don't know how I know that, but so then we've got do we have more? Oh yeah, we have a couple more here. They're just I just got these in lieu of getting a newspaper ad because I didn't realize it didn't actually have a release.
There's no hand that giant in this movie, by the way.
There's no hand giant in the world.
That is huge now that I look at it.
It's like Richard Keel's hand or something.
It's like it's got butt cheeks because it's so big.
Yeah, wow. It's like
It
Joan
does,
Collins's hand baby from
For
Devil
I Don't Want to Be
Within Her.
Born. Yeah.
God. And then this one here was it looks like a British release because it's got the 18 up there.
Oh, okay. By the way, now that you're showing that, there's a basket here.
Oh yes.
Well, I'll show it to you later, but I have a gift basket that we're going to raffle off. It's a very tiny reproduction of that VHS image as a magnet. It's like a little handmade Etsy item that's part of this big basket of items.
There's a way I can let you well actually you've got it right there. It's not just a photo, right?
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, go ahead. Why don't you show it to us?
I'm going to bring it in.
Yeah. Maybe start at the top and then slowly lift it up so you can pan up and down it, you know?
I want to spend some time with you, so I'm okay.
Uh-oh, here he comes.
Okay, George, pull it back just a little bit and then lower it.
Okay.
And then try and center it with your
I'm being
camera. Put it
restricted
in
by
front of
my. Yeah, let me.
I'm back, guys.
Yeah,
Sorry
you
about
never
that.
left, sort of.
You left your microphone on, so we heard everything.
I know. Did you hear me having sex? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. I'm making vegetable soup. Sorry, guys. I did shut the fucking mic off. A damn thing shifted because I don't have a table like the rest of you. So you heard all my secrets.
So George, pull it back.
On
to
my
yourself.
makeup.
George, pull the thing back to yourself away from the cameras so we can get a better view of it.
Sorry, guys.
I don't think he can hear you. George.
George.
I can text him.
Yeah,
There.
we go. He's putting his
Now
hand-
he has his ears on. Pull it back a little bit, George, so we can see the whole thing.
It's going to be hard.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
All right.
what we're saying is pull it back closer to you, away from the camera, and then maybe lower it and then slowly raise it up so the camera will pan down it. No, the other way, go down.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. Yeah, let me I'm gonna make him. Hold on.
What's that snow globe thing?
Oh, now it's not gonna do it. It wants to push the speaking. Let me try it.
You know what? I recommend just looking on our community page to get a good look at it because there's pictures of everything.
Yeah.
It's hard, to get, especially there's a reflection because of this cellophane.
Cellophane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
I just want to have it next to me. It's really great. I mean, I have to say, this one is. There's a lot of unique stuff in here, and a lot of limited edition stuff.
So Bill,
As you see,
know
it's
why
wonderful.
you have the basket. Bill and I know why you have the basket, but the audience, I don't think knows, and Mike Hill doesn't know. So why don't you explain what it's for and what's in it?
So we've been doing a raffle basket at the event just to have something to do, during the day. Basically, it's just a gift basket full of items from horror movies, usually pertaining to the films that we're showing. This one for this year is all pertaining to the Italian horror films that we're showing on Saturday night, and it's a raffle basket. It's you're $1 a ticket, or you could get 25 tickets for $20, and we raffle. We'll sell the tickets Friday and Saturday, and Saturday night before the first movie, we'll raffle it off. We have the zombie mask from the. It's a zombie bust head from the Beyond, and there's the doll. There's a couple of the figures like Joe the Plumber, and there's a globe from the cemetery. There's a snow globe from Cemetery Man. There's a magnet set. There's a Lucio Fulci little mini figure in there that's got a background card. It's got a lot of good stuff. But I would advise just go on the Drive-In Super Monster Rama community page. There'll be pictures of everything in the basket with pictures of the finished basket with descriptions, and it tells you all about what I just told you about when we raffle it off. It's just I put a lot of money into it, just and all the proceeds go back into the next show, because putting these things together are not exactly cheap, and
yeah, and I've yet to win one, so one of these days
we've had like people that we were friendly with win the basket, which is incredible because
we get accused of fixing it. No,
and it's if anybody ever thinks that,
honestly, I'm the one that
no,
does it.
No way.
I fix it. I fix it.
Seriously,
give me
no
extra
way.
money. Kidding.
It's so random. But we had last year. Last April, our friend Paul won. You got to be in it to win it. You buy,
We had the same guy.
Buy one ticket.
We had the same guy win 2 years in a row, which was amazing.
That's amazing.
And it wasn't someone we know either.
It's just a streak of luck. Yeah, it's just luck. Yeah, it's all luck.
So I need to just step away for a couple of minutes. So why don't you guys, George and Gene, why don't you continue regaling us with
talk amongst yourselves
of the Drive-In Super Monster Rama, and maybe Mike.
I don't know if this will work or not. Does this work? Can you guys see? It's too bright. There, see?
Oh, that's better. See, I have the actual thing, and I can't even show that.
There you go. How's that?
It's beautiful.
There's all kinds of stuff in here, so it's all kinds of. Look at that. Isn't that nice?
Oh, you got the opera glass. Oh, there's a Michelle Suave autograph that comes from Severin. We got those opera glasses that are already out of print. That little magnet I was talking about with the Blade of the Dark UK VHS covers.
I feel like
it's
we're
so
on,
tiny.
We're on, it's like
QVC.
We're on QVC.
This is our version of QVC. My wife would be proud.
See, they're going really fast. If you guys would like to have this beyond the
you
beyond
can pay
Italian
in 3 installments of $39.98.
That's right. And you know what? I bought 5 of them for the grandkids. I like it so well, and it's great with salads. And it works. It's one of my favorite things.
Watch here. Yeah, exactly.
There's some spoon sets that come with it right there. So
you should get a job with them. You're pretty good at that.
Yeah, I used to drive past them all the time. There's Joe the plumber. He's not looking so good, is he?
Yeah, they only made like 100 of those. That's pretty rare. Yeah.
Have I been muted this whole time?
Yeah.
You haven't been saying anything, so
maybe that's I just realized I went to check my mute, and then I said for me to unmute, and I was like, "What the hell? How long have I been How long have I been muted? I've been saying things."
Here's a close up of the glasses. There's the glasses.
Oh, nice.
See the little glasses there, and then what else do we have here? We got.
I saw somebody was selling those on eBay for $60 already.
$60.
Wow.
Christ.
George always
know,
finds
right?
very interesting little oddities to put inside,
That's
these
the magnet
baskets.
set from Severin.
Yeah,
from the,
quite lovely.
Severin put out some bling for Cemetery Man, which helped.
There it is.
That's an Etsy item. That's a guy makes these VHS covers as a magnet. It's very small, but it's something. Very hard to find any trinkets on Blade in the Dark. That is the Cemetery Man snow globe. That's also from Severin. Well, they offer it. They didn't give them to me. I believe I bought them.
It's a puzzle.
And that thing is huge.
It's a puzzle.
It's a puzzle, and it's huge. It's on the top
awesome.
It's on the top of the basket.
That's hours of entertainment for your scub.
For the whole family.
Did you get that from
Cub Scout
Grindhouse?
troop.
Did you get that from Grindhouse? That puzzle?
It's the Grindhouse puzzle. Yeah,
they did one for pieces too. I have one.
They did one for pieces, which is perfect. There's actually a puzzle in that movie.
Fulci.
Yeah,
it's like Elf on the Shelf, and once you put it in your house, inexplainable things happen. Yeah.
Unfortunately, he looks more like Michael Gross.
There were spiders everywhere after I look at him. There he is.
Something happened to your eyes.
Unfortunately, it looks more like Mr. Mike from Saturday Night Live, but
yeah, you're right. He does look like Mr. Mike for sure.
Mike Donahue, yeah.
He's got 6 points of articulation, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have no idea.
They should make one that you can melt by pouring some water on it, and the face will melt away.
That's a great
there
idea.
you go.
I guess you could only do it once.
Make it out of sugar.
And that will be the end of it.
Yeah.
So there you go, guys.
But it'll be amazing.
Yep, and we have while Roger's away, so wrapping up kind of like we don't have a list of like any of the foods yet that they're going to be offering, but they always offer special foods at the drive-in. The snack bar is really, really good. The prices are nice. There'll probably be a pierogi pizza. There'll probably be halushki. There will probably be what else, George? Do they usually do for the Friday show? Vegetable soup or something, or cheddar broccoli soup, maybe. We haven't seen the special menu yet, but she does some interesting items for the show.
Yeah, that'll be
sell
something.
really, really well.
And it's always some regular stuff: hamburgers, hot dogs.
We don't know what the weather. We don't know what the weather is this year. I can.
I don't want to know what the weather is. I don't want to know yet.
It's usually pretty good.
I almost forgot.
Listen,
Oh,
it doesn't rain in Pittsburgh anymore.
I've been so yeah, well, it rains on. It always rains on Monster Rama.
I've got living tumbleweeds trying to kill me when I leave the house.
They warn ya.
It pours.
No, it doesn't rain. We have rain once a month.
I don't care if it rains at the drive-in. I'm not.
Give me a break. Give me a break.
Break
me off a piece of that Kit Kat.
I had a question for you, George. This was, before the Monster Rama happened, like you really were one of the pioneers in these kind of drive-in events. Am I wrong? I mean, was anybody doing it before you?
No.
I'll tell you something.
George.
Well, here's the thing. The only thing that was like happening on a regular basis was in Atlanta at the Starlight Drive-In. They had something called oh God, what the hell was it called?
I remember that actually.
Yeah, drive. But I used to go to it. It's really far from me. It was a drive. It was like a weekend drive. They didn't necessarily just show horror movies. They had like a lot of exploitation. They even showed like stuff like more mainstreamy, like Fast Times at Ridgemont High, for example, Tommy, the Who movie. I mean, they would show all kinds of like just offbeat stuff, I guess. And then they would have bands during the day at a car show. And I'm like, I want to do something like this, but with horror films. I'm like, I know, like, I could get in touch with the studios, get these films, license these films, book them. And so this is back in like 2005, 2006, where I was like having. And 2007 finally came together when I approached all these theaters, and the Riverside were the ones that were really like, saying, yeah, this sounds like something we'd like to do. And that's where it started. And like, since in the last few years, like everybody else is doing. And if you don't, I mean, again, you see, like, I would have called it, if I knew this thing was going to last this long, I would not call it Drive-In Super Monster Rama because it's such a long name. And it's like, I really did, I didn't think it would go on this long. And I probably would have like made something more compact and simpler and something that people couldn't, necessarily, imitate so much. Because you always see Monster Ramas and Rama this and Monster Shlakarama and, not that I started that, but coming off this show, a lot of the drive-ins that have used this as a model that have done this have used similar kind of long names. So like that, I would have, if I could go back, I probably would have came up with something a little shorter and more precise. But you had to back then. I was just thinking grand and big.
I think it catches people's attentions. I don't think it's that.
Nobody's complaining. So
I don't think it's a liability. No, not at all.
And just
no, not necessarily.
Too. I mean,
but there was
good weather for the weekend. By the way, we're looking at 76 on Friday and 77 on Saturday.
It could change
as a low. Yeah, I don't care. It's
like
not going to rain. It's not
going to
rain.
4 years. It's like 4 years away. So
no, not going to rain. It's not going to rain. So that's your opinion. It's not 4 years away.
A particular horror movie fan, but she enjoys sitting through them. But the whole experience is what it is for her. She likes going out there and being out under the stars, watching the movies, sleeping through a couple of them maybe, but
freezing to death.
Yeah, that really is what I was talking about because people have been doing repertory screenings forever, but this sort of drive-in event is unique in and of itself because it's not just that you can take it piecemeal. Like you could go, I know people that just come and they watch the first two movies and leave. Like I couldn't do that. If I had any option at all, I would stay all night, and I usually do. But it's, you can do that or you can stay for the whole weekend. And if you do it both nights, it really becomes something a little bit bigger than that. It's like going back in time for a weekend.
Right. Absolutely. Yep.
Which is the way I advertise this, especially in the early days. Like it was like a time machine. Because like you were saying, Bill, it really, when I started this thing, it really was not a lot. This was not happening on a regular basis like it has been in the last 5 to 10 years. Now it's like repertoire has become big, and these drive-in, everybody can see a lot of these theaters, and we've had people come to Monster Rama over the years. I mean, this is 18 years, and they're like, and they kind of like observe, and then like they go to their own local drive-ins, and they approach them about doing something like this, and they've done them. Yeah, it's like because. I could take a little bit of credit here because this thing has been shown to be successful in the industry, and the owner of the theater, Todd, he talks to people, he talks to other theater owners, and they know of this, and so word gets around, and then I guess other theaters realize, hey, this is not a bad idea, and they try it. I don't know, some maybe more successful than others. I don't know. But there have been a lot. This model has definitely been, imitated.
Right. I think that's great that other people are doing it too, because it's sort of like that's what this is all about. Is after we're dead and gone, like who's gonna be watching movies like this? This is our chance to sort of like pass this off to another generation if they are interested.
Yep. That's exactly what George and I always talk about, the two fundamentals of fandom. There are people that are into fandom to become part of that fandom and further that legacy, and then there are people that do it simply because they want to appear famous in the moment. And I know a lot of them.
Who would do something like that?
A lot. You don't want me to name them, but I know them. Period. But I mean, we're in a position now that we can give to people. That's what Bill is saying, and you have to give to people. Every Saturday night he does it with his show, and he has a hardcore following group of people, and they're going to remember it. They're going to remember it years to come. And
you guys get some great vendors too, like Ron Adams from Creepy Classics is always there. And every time I see him, I'm like, I got to get you on my show. He's like, I know. And then we never do. But maybe
Ron is sort of a free agent. Ron kind of has, I mean, not to sound rude here, but Ron kind of is directly involved with the drive-in. He does come to all of our shows and he does our shows, but his agreement actually is with the drive-in. It was not with us. But he is a part of it. He is part of the family and he is there every single year. And in addition to him, we've added Bob from Time Bomb Toys, which is a huge success. Bob is the #1 seller of action figures and collectibles in Pittsburgh. And then we added Richie, who used to be in Pittsburgh, but now he's down in Greensburg. He does tattoos and everything. And then recently, James Lockhart from Severn Entertainment has been coming. He's been wanting to do the shows for a while, but his personal schedule was extremely full. And he's finally able to do it, so he'll be back. And then I don't know, Bill, we never heard from your friends from the sideshow people.
No,
Was
they're
there an
not going to
interest
do
in?
it. They had another
Okay.
gig, so they're not going to be able to do it this
Okay.
year.
Yeah,
They can't even
they did
go.
not they were very, very nice people. They were
very nice. They were very entertaining. Yeah.
Yeah, we liked
Dave and
them a
Sam.
lot.
Yeah.
They were
And little
very
Oscar.
sweet. And there's a gentleman that sells novels, which he writes, and his name also eludes me at the moment, and he can't do the show this year. He is obligated to another event. Bob will actually be there one of the 2 nights because he has a family thing on Friday, and I think he's just on Saturday. But Creepy Classics, of course, will be there both nights. Ron has a great selection of DVDs and Blu-rays and T-shirts for sale. So
And model
you do
kits.
you do need to get him on, Roger, because Ron does like a little thing he sends out email. It's very interesting. You need to get him on.
Yeah.
And he has a lot of interesting perspectives growing up in Ligonier, Pennsylvania, back in the day in Famous Monsters magazine. So he's got a pretty good legacy of information there. It's very interesting.
Speaking of Ron, I don't know if you've heard on the Colossus of New York Blu-ray that Kino just put out recently. He was on the commentary, actually, like partially. He did he knew Charles Herbert, who was the little child actor from The Fly, and he was also in 13 Ghosts, and he's in Colossus of New York, which is the blue. And Ron did a little segment on there, speaking about his, association with meeting Charles Herbert and getting him to come to conventions. And it's a really, really, really good piece. I'm going to compliment him when I see him about that because it's a really good piece.
Right. Yes, I listened to it.
This actor, Charles Herbert, and actually Ron, I said, anytime we could bring him, this, and unfortunately he passed away a few years ago. He had some problems in adulthood.
I met him at many monster bashes. He was
I wish I'd met him.
Bash.
Yeah.
Which is Ron's convention.
Ron was talking about he could get him to come to the show, but it's like it never came together, and I'd have to getting The Fly would have been might have been tough because it's owned by Fox and Criterion. It just long story short, it just didn't happen. But I just anybody wants to know more about Ron Adams, you listen to that that part of his commentary on there. It's really, really good.
Yeah, and Colossus of New York was always
Colossus of New York.
Kid.
Yeah.
My Kill. I don't know. You may have seen it on Creature Double Feature. It's basically this little kid tosses a paper airplane. His father goes to get it for him, and he gets run over. So they transplant the father's brain into this robot body, and it's just a really good movie.
I don't think I've seen that.
It's kind of creepy.
It's good, but it's funny because it's like I think Tom Weaver does the commentary, and they kind of allude to it being critically panned and not a fan favorite. But I always thought it was. So I mean, that's just an angle that it's not well liked. But I think it's a fun little cool film, and it's actually kind of dark.
Yeah,
it's extremely dark. I mean, when you from his perspective of what it feels like to no longer feel a body is actually pretty esoteric and weird. I mean, he's like, I can't feel anything, I just exist. And that always kind of resonated with me as weird. It's not something I would want.
There's a character like that in the Doom Patrol in the comics and in the movie, the TV show, and it's the same thing. And it is creepy, especially in. I know I'm not a huge fan of remakes, but the RoboCop remake was not very good. But there's a scene where they show you exactly what's going on with him under the armor, and he's basically a head in a jug. Not even. It's
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's it. And it's
Right.
that left me with nightmares.
That's horrifying.
remember
It's
in
like
the movie,
thing that
too.
wouldn't die.
In which one?
The thing that wouldn't die.
Yes.
The one about
yeah.
that woman's head in the tray on the
And
table.
in the pan.
It's
And
nightmare.
that terrible monster that's in the
thing in the closet.
in that room, that thing in the closet. Oh my God.
The
You know,
brain,
they
the
filmed
brain
it-
that wouldn't die.
Mike,
They
have
filmed
you
the,
seen
yeah,
the-
that's
Thank
it.
you.
know,
Yeah.
they
This lady's
filmed
head
that in
that's wrapped in
Tarrytown,
bandages
George, not far
sitting
from
in
you,
this pan.
actually.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm
no,
sorry, Rod. Say that again.
I
couldn't
met
hear
the
you.
director of that movie, Joseph Dreed.
Yeah, I was just describing it to Mike Hill. You must have at least seen a still from this, so if not on TV when we were kids. But it's basically this lady gets her head severed in a car accident, and the boyfriend's a scientist, and he
We
puts
showed
it in a pan, and her head is wrapped in these bandages, so it's just her. No, they don't explain how because she doesn't have lungs, how she passes air through her vocal cords. But anyways, she can talk, and she has this telepathic relationship with this monster that's in a closet, a nearby closet, and it's a fucked up.
Oh my God.
Another
Wow.
thing he just like cursed into existence. It's like, this guy, just because he can do it, he does it.
Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
doesn't like it's really like the movie's silly. It looks silly because she's a head in a tray on a table, but if you start to think about the reality of that, like what that would be like to just be
Yeah.
conscious, and you would remember everything about your life, but you are literally just a head. You're completely helpless.
Yeah.
And in someone else's world, it's really very creepy. Don't
Yeah.
even get me started on the thing in the closet. That was nightmare.
All right,
It was
folks.
played by a wrestler. He was like really tall, like 7 foot.
Yeah.
Eddie Carmel, I think his name was. Yeah.
All right, folks. So the Drive-In Super Monster Rama is going to be September 27th and 28th, Friday and Saturday, 2024. And it's at the Riverside Drive-In in Vandergrift, Pennsylvania. And if you want to check out how to get tickets and all that stuff, go to Facebook and just look up Drive-In Super Monster Rama, and you'll find their page. And it's a fun time. I'm really bummed that I can't get there this year, but there's always April. So
Yeah.
Oh my.
Right. We'll
all right,
miss
so
you.
let's go on to our next thing. We're going to talk about movies that scared us as kids or as adults. It can be movies that scared you no matter what. So since you guys are guests, George, why don't you go first?
I'm going to go first, but to speak about scary, I just spotted the biggest mosquito in my living space over here. Oh well. Just hope it doesn't get to me before. I just hope it doesn't get to me before.
I have a
Wow.
I have a visual aid for mine, so I'll go get it. And while you're
All right, so one of the things I always remember as a kid. Am I on?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. G.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's going to get.
Okay. Yeah. So one of the things I remember as a kid, this is like I probably was like 6 years old, maybe. The movie Die Monster Die with Boris Karloff and Nick Adams, which is an AIP film from the mid-'60s, directed by Daniel Holler. And it's a film I revisit often because of this. But I remember watching it with my father in the living room, like on a late Saturday afternoon on Channel 9. He used to show it all the time. But there was a Frida Jackson. This is based on H.P. Lovecraft, All the Colors of Space. And Frida Jackson was the mother, and she basically because of this curse with this stone that they had, she was like basically this melting, or like she appears as horrible, and then to the point where she just like basically oozed and just like all this stuff came out of her. It was Les Bowie effect. Les Bowie worked on the Hammer films, did these pretty disgusting effects for the day. And then later on in the film, Karloff stuntman becomes this glowing being chasing Nick Adams around with this big hatchet thing. And he's, it's just freaked the hell out of me. But I remember that night I woke up in the middle of the night having like a fever dream nightmare, and my mother coming into the room, like, what's that? And it's like, and she's calming me down, and she's like, you're not watching any more. We used to call them monster movies, but you're not watching any more monster movies than that. That's it. And I'm like, well, what about Godzilla? Like, Godzilla's okay, but you're not watching any more. So of course that didn't stick, luckily, because
yes.
Oh, thank God.
But
Immediately after Fever Dream was negotiating. What about Godzilla?
Yeah. Well, because God, that was like kid friendly
monster, but yeah.
But this was terrifying. That to me was like, and don't forget, like when I saw something like that, the movie wasn't that old, really. It was probably like not even 10 years old at the time. So it's still like these color movies on TV. They were like Black Sabbath is another one that freaked the hell out of me. The Karloff, the Warlock, not the telephone one, but the Warlock episode with Karloff. I mean, Karloff didn't really. I wasn't like scared of him so much in the Universal movies because it was like more like he was a friend in those, a monster friend. But like seeing him in this, it was like coming back to the house as a vampire to like basically kill his family off, and the way and his appearance in that, and then the other episode with the the drop of water with the woman, coming back to life and like being on the bed and the girl tries to kill him ring and her body's floating and she's screaming. I mean, of course, Mario Bava, this vivid 1960s color thing, and I'm seeing this thing, and again, it's like not that old, really, maybe 10, 11 years old when I saw it, the movie. I mean, so these were fresh movies to TV.
That's okay. We're still live. It's just my computer.
Okay. And so, but that's another one that scared the hell out of me. So they're from the same camp, that AIP 60s Gothic, Those are two I remember very well being scared of.
Anything?
But the Die Monster Die, I definitely woke up in the middle of the night with a nightmare. My mother had to calm me down because watching that.
Did anything scare you as an adult?
As an adult, not really. Like when I saw Dawn of the Dead as a young adult in the theater, and Bill and I talk about this often. It was the re-release. I didn't see it in '79 when it first started to like play here. I saw it. It was I think '83. I thought it was '82, but now I'm seeing that it's '83. It was re-released for Creepshow, which I'd seen in theater. So my mother, going back to my mom, this is like she definitely went away from her word that I couldn't watch any more horror movies, and now this was no one under 17 admitted, period, even with an adult. So she went to the theater. This was like one of those theaters where they were very okay with, letting kids see R-rated movies or whatever. So this was like no one under 17. So she went to the theater with us and said, "These are my kids. Can they go see this movie?" And they're like, "Yeah, what the hell?" So my friend and I saw Dawn of the Dead in the early 80s for the first time. And I'm like, I don't know how old I am. I'm like maybe 14, 15. I don't know. But it was like I'd never seen anything that wild and gory before. And people say that was a cut version of the movie that played in that. It was definitely the uncut theatrical, version. Because all the gore there it was just seeing. I'm like, I remember like sitting there and going, like Creepshow was like, it's an R-rated, anthology horror film. It's fun, it's gory, but it's goofy. But you could tolerate, I was okay with that. I had seen it already. This one, I was like, I hadn't seen it yet, and it was, am I ready for this? And I remember like that opening scene, that opened with the credits and everything, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm ready for this. And then just like that whole thing with the tenement and when the husband comes and bites his wife's shoulder, I'm like, God! I mean, I've never, now it's. It's hard to, when you're looking back, you're like, well, it's not the goriest movie ever made, but it definitely was like one of those things where like I got through it. It was very intense movie going experience that, people I don't think of a certain age can appreciate how intense seeing something like that as a young adult was uncut in the theater when it was like, pretty new. It was only a couple of years old, what that experience was like. And it was like, I wouldn't say I was like scared to death, but it was like, that night going home, I was kind of like in that look over my shoulder vibe all the time. It was disturbing.
Excuse me.
Yeah. So.
All right.
But as a grown up, I can't really think of anything that really scared me as far as a movie.
All right.
Gene, what do you got for us?
Okay, well, I got some scary stuff, but I want to reflect on Dawn of the Dead. I saw it opening weekend when I was 12 in 1978 or whatever, and my friend's dad took all of us, and it was like five guys, and that scene that he's referring to is absolutely. I got cold sweats and thought I was not going to make it through the movie because we were not exposed at that point to anything like that. You didn't have television with all these movies and such that you have today, or streaming or video or whatever. So it was completely from scratch. But it's so funny because all the kids were terrified, but then the next day all the guys were like, that was awesome, man, fuck this shit, this is the greatest movie. Nobody wanted to admit that they wanted to crawl under the seat and die. But reflecting upon, I know, really, and reflecting upon that movie now, all these years in the future, I work with the George Romero people and Dawn of the Dead people. I do the box office for Living Dead Weekend, so I'm actually in the Monroeville Mall where it was filmed, with the tours going on, and with so many zombies from that movie. I mean, I know them all, and on a regular basis I see these people. So it's sort of a weird brain thing to be remembering seeing this movie in the theater all those years later, and now working in that mall at a convention for this movie, and actually knowing these people like as normal people from this movie. It's strange. I have to tell you guys, it's very, very strange. But again, like Night of the Living Dead, it's a Pittsburgh legacy. So it's something that you just, you embrace it and go, wow, I can't believe it. And we're still finding extras to appear at the convention that were in Dawn of the Dead. They come out of the woodwork every year. They find more and more of them. So that aside, the most terrifying movie of my childhood, two films. And you guys know this very well. It's Sally.
Yeah, that was another one. Yep.
Soon
Don't be afraid of the dark.
Join her. Yeah. Don't
And
be
that's a
afraid of the
TV
dark.
movie. That's
Yes.
a TV movie, and it's still
And on
terrifying.
Blu-ray, it pops like psychedelic. That movie was absolutely terrifying as a kid. I couldn't, to this day, I'm still not comfortable with sleeping with closet doors open because of those little creatures. And the Del Toro version was clever, but nothing like the original ABC TV movie. And, I always wanted an action figure, and then Amok Time put him out. And so I don't let him out at night, that's for sure. But
it's almost life size.
What was the film again?
Don't be afraid of the dark with Kim Darby. It's made for TV, ABC made for TV movie. Yeah, TV
Uncle
films,
Charlie's in it too. William Demarest.
The networks were right. Networks were pumping incredible movies out back then. Compared to this shit today, there's nothing. Everything. The state of television today, dance shows, survival, bachelorette shit. I mean, come on, that's all scary in itself. But we were the generation that had this movie, and we had the Killer Zuni doll from Trilogy of Terror, and all these other movies. And I think that's what put us where we are right now. As kids,
Kolchak movies. Yeah,
absolutely.
Don't Be Afraid of the Dark was the ABC network prime time.
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. It was on in prime time, and it was a terrifying film. Now, that movie aside, the other movie that caused me problems as a kid, and to this day, it still ethically bothers me, is Island of Terror. And George knows this already. And I just recently ordered it on Blu-ray. Yeah, and it's a Peter Cushing movie about cancer research on this island, and the cancer research goes crazy, and these starfish things that have like tusks, not tusks, they have, what do you call it?
Tentacles.
No, it's not really so much a tentacle.
Well, yeah, it's
sort of a snout, like an elephant snout.
Like an elephant snout, but yeah.
And they right, and they suck all your bone marrow out and they kill you. And that's all kind of scary and weird, but the way this movie the way this movie comes down to the very end, these people are all in this church, and they have put all the. This is how dark this movie gets. This is 1966, and they've taken these poor cows and they've injected these cows with this radioactive element, which will kill these creatures. But of course, that means the cows all have to be eaten by the creatures. So bye bye cows. And as the cows are screaming and
And they're not
dying.
even sure it's going to work, right? They're not even sure it's
Right.
going to work.
They're not even
Like,
sure it's going to work. And as the cows are screaming and dying outside of this church, these creatures are just practically breaking into the church. And the hero and the heroine are there, and he has a needle to euthanize her and kill her and then kill himself in case they get in so they don't have to die in this horrible manner. And when you think about that, that's really fucked up. You know,
no, it is. It definitely is. It still is.
you know,
Yeah.
that's an end of the world scenario right there. It's not just a horror film. It's, you know, do I take my life and die? You know, like used to see all those scenes. I don't know if you guys watch The Walking Dead or any of these dystopian movies where they wander into a house and find someone who left a suicide note and killed each other because they didn't want to live in this world. And that is a dark moment in human life. Suicide is a dark moment in human life. Death is a dark moment. And this movie faces that. And it's much more than just a horror film. It's an ethical, moral kind of thing. And as a kid, that blew me away. I mean, it was like, holy shit, this is like, it caused a lot of brain cells to go, you know what I mean? It's like, what I wouldn't want to be there. You know, would I want to be euthanized or have these creatures suck my marrow out and kill me? You know, it's just, so there you go. Those are my two horror films. One because of the scary monsters, and the other one because of the whole ethical nature of the film. And to this day, I'm still bothered by that movie. I have to admit it. And it's not the monsters that did it. It's the end idea that it's a no escape scenario. So, but you know, and George always goes, "Oh, it's great. Just watch it. It's just a great film." Yeah, no.
That Island of Terror is one of my favorites, and I didn't actually that didn't really bother me, although a lot did, but we'll get into that in a bit. But I took that film and I adapted it to a Call of Cthulhu adventure. Do you remember this, Michael? Your character, I was game mastering the Call of Cthulhu
Wow.
games, and I adapted it. And usually in role-playing games, you when you create a scenario, the players could do anything, but so you just kind of have to try and set up things and hope that they'll go in certain directions, and you know, or not.
Can you crank your mic up a little bit? Your volume is a little bit low.
Is that why nobody's hearing me? Is that
Yeah?
I hear you fine.
I hear you okay too.
Okay.
I'll be back in one moment, though.
Yeah,
I'll be back in a
That's
moment.
better. Yeah.
I think that's a little better. Yeah.
Weird. Maybe I'll put this one up too. It's just kind of distorting now. I don't know.
Oh, that's better.
Okay. So yeah, I took you. Is it distorting?
Yeah,
when I
it's
talk?
distorted now.
It's
All
a
right.
little staticky-ish, yeah, but
All right. How about that?
That's
That's
better.
better.
That's a little bit better.
Okay. I had taken the story from Island of Terror when I was game mastering Call of Cthulhu, and I put your character, Michael, through the adventure. Do you remember that? And you fought the creatures. They looked like kind of like giant turtles, but with just this long proboscis that came out, and they were just slimy. And
God, my memory is so bad. I don't remember. I mean, I'm sure we did. I know we
did
played a lot of
almost
Cthulhu.
exactly. Yeah, and you did almost exactly everything Peter Cushing did in the movie without ever having seen the film. So it was
Really?
awesome. It was really, shows what a good story it was, no matter what, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so why don't you tell us about what movies may have terrified you in your childhood and adulthood?
Me?
Yes.
Well, one thing that scared the piss out of me when I was a kid, and I don't know why, but I was over at my friend's house, Robert Corby, I think his name was. I think I was in like third grade, and we were just hanging around, playing around. He had a projection TV, and on one of the channels they were showing the Elephant Man. Like the you know the I don't know exactly what year it was, but it was black and white and kind of hazy looking. And
1980.
Was it John Hurt was in it?
Yeah.
I don't remember which part of it that we saw, but whatever it was, it scared the fuck out of me. I don't know why. It just seemed so creepy. I don't even think it was a scene where they really showed him. I don't remember if they really showed what he looked like, or if it was just him under the sheet, like the mystery of like what's under there. I just remember that scared the hell out of me, and I was like, "Can we change this channel, please? This is freaking me out." And
Oh,
and then I had a couple of nightmares about it later. But it was like, obviously, it's not a horror movie; it's a movie about a poor guy that had a real affliction. But that just I don't know why, but that scared the ever loving hell out of me when I was a kid. Um, as an adult, well, I have a bunch of stuff here that scared me when I was a kid. The flying monkeys in Wizard of Oz scared the hell out of me. Um, the
The what? The
idea
flying
of,
monkeys?
huh?
Would you say the flying monkeys?
Yeah, the flying monkeys in Wizard of Oz, they really scared me the first couple times I saw it. The Slee Stacks from Land of the Lost scared me a lot when I was a
yeah.
kid. I saw this movie. There were like two movies that came out within a very short time of each other, and they both were shown on TV about tarantulas. And they were like, William Shatner was in one of them. And then there was
Yeah.
another one, and there were like tarantulas all over people. Like, and I remember this one scene where there was a bunch of them on a window, and they were so heavy that the window broke, and they're like tarantulas were on the person, and that scared me quite a bit. Um, as an adult, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which I had not seen for years, like I knew about it, and then I finally, Roger, watched it at your house. And that freaked me the hell out. I mean, and I just like the sense of hopelessness and the fact that like I did not think she was going to get away, and they were just like dragging it out and torturing her and making it so like unbearable. And I was just like, I was losing my mind. And then of course she runs away and basically escapes, and I was so excited. And then when I first saw the movie, it was like, oh my god, she's getting away, oh my god, she's getting away, like I was so excited. But then I went out to go out to my car, and like the screen door shut at just the right time, scare the shit out of me and give a chill up my spine. And I'm checking the back seat of my car, make sure nobody's there to kill me. But as an adult, the thing that I'll really remember is Blair Witch Project. When I saw that the first time in the theater, um, it just hit me on the right day, in the right way, at the right time. I don't know why. I saw it like a week after it came out, and I went by myself. And it was in the I don't know, it was at a time of year where the sun was going down kind of early, and I went to like a 3 or 4 o'clock show, but it was already starting to get dark. And that movie scared the shit out of me. And it I don't know why. It was just like there were so many conflicting bits of information about what the Blair Witch was or wasn't or could be or couldn't be. And it wasn't so much like the point of view cam or the way they filmed it or anything, but it was just that they kept like this idea alive of that there was definitely something that was not good, but there was so little information about it that like my imagination started trying to fill in the blanks, and that the vagueness of the idea of the threat just like scared the hell out of me. And I literally would not go into my basement for like 2 months. Except unless the sun was shining. If the sun was shining and I had to do laundry, I would go down and do it. But as soon as it was even slightly started to go down, I would not go in the basement.
So
Um,
I missed some of this. I apologize, but I want to ask you. So it's the most terrifying film you've seen, but is it one of your favorite films? That's what I wasn't here for.
ah, um, I don't know. I've seen it a few times since, and it
Okay.
didn't scare me as much on subsequent watchings. The second time, it scared me a little, but
Okay.
I don't know if I would say it's one of my favorites, but it had probably the strongest effect on me. The first
As an
time I
adult.
saw it, it had a really strong effect on me. I mean, actually, I had
Wow.
trouble getting to sleep. I remember lying in bed trying to like rationalize it to myself, like, okay, first of all, it's not even a real thing. Second of all, even if it did exist, it's in Burkittsville, Maryland, which is far, far away from here. And third of all, like it really messed with my head. And when I got home from seeing the movie, nobody was there. And I called a friend of mine to talk to him because I was like, I don't want to be by myself right now. Like I was freaked out.
That's interesting. I mean, so it played on your psychological fears of like of I know what you're saying, the desperation and loneliness of that film. of being in an isolated, dark place in that woods and stuff. I think that's what really affects people, right? So yeah, I get that. I get you. I get you totally. Wow.
Nice. Nice. All right, Bill, you're up.
Well, that was going to be my adult movie that scared me was Blair Witch Project because it's like Michael said, like I don't know, I don't really know what I was expecting when I went to see it because I was already so jaded. I was like, oh, this is going to be a terrible movie, and I'm going to go watch this. It's going to be dumb, just like everything. And I sat there the whole time, like,
Yeah.
I was really freaked out by it. And because it starts out like kind of annoying, like oh, these kids are really annoying. But then I don't know, I started to get really into it because I think the people that roll their eyes about Blair Witch Project being scary, I don't think those people have ever been in the woods at night, especially if you're alone. Like in a really isolated area. I'm not just talking about, like the woods or
Excuse me.
whatever. I'm talking about like a place where it's going to be a while before you can get back to your car. Like to be isolated like that in the middle of the wilderness, that's really scary. And to be confronted with something that you, like Michael said, you don't even really know what it is. And I loved, by the way, that they never tell you anything about it, which it would have ruined everything because I saw one of the remakes or sequels or something where they showed the thing and I was like, okay, it's over. But I don't think I would ever want to see the movie again. Like Gene said, like it's not one of my favorite movies of all time, although it's a cherished memory. But I've watched it a couple of times, and it's still good. I just, you can never get that back. I think that's a high that most of us have been chasing. Those people who are into horror movies and monster movies, whatever, like those first couple movies that you see that really scare you or like mystify you. Not, it doesn't mean you don't even have to be afraid. Just something that really shook you up or made you see something you'd never seen before. It's hard to get that back, and it's hard to find new things that can make you feel the same way.
Yeah.
And because I think my childhood movie that frightened me the most was Gargoyles.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. Yes.
Another TV movie.
TV movie, yeah.
Yeah, it was all the
Yes.
TV shit that did that. And even like later in my childhood, Salem's Lot, which was a TV
Yes.
movie. I still think that's one of the scariest movies ever
Yes.
made. I can
Yes.
still watch it and it's
I've had
still
nightmares
scary.
about it.
Like I've seen it a
Right.
million times. I know there's a blue-faced vampire in it. It still scares the shit out of me. But those movies are magical that can do that to you. Everybody has a different kind of movie that makes them feel that way again. And Salem's Lot's probably like the one that I can really always go to, and it's still scary.
It's still
Yeah.
scary to you.
Yeah, that's awesome. I get a lot because throughout my childhood, I've told the story on the show before, and I think you guys have all heard it. When I was 2 years old, we saw the anthology film Asylum at the drive-in, and I have vivid memories of that movie. And my mother and I called it Chopping Heads for years because we couldn't remember the title. And so that I've been watching horror movies my whole life, and everything scared me. I would have nightmares. I mean, if I were to go through all the movies that scared me and the nightmares, we'd be here all night. But I definitely recall. I'll just give you a brief list here. Like My Bloody Valentine gave me nightmares. American Werewolf in London. I couldn't watch the werewolf scenes except for maybe the transformation, but I hadn't seen them until years later because I was terrified when that came out. I was what 1981. Halloween 2. Saw that at the drive-in. That not the opening scared the shit out of me. That Mr. Sandman song, I was absolutely terrified. I didn't even have to see Michael Myers to be scared, and I could not listen to that song until literally like a year or two ago. It's like now I could tolerate it.
Not good.
Making me go.
Halloween 2 was scary in a way that the original wasn't. I mean, it was generally frowned upon when it came out. Halloween 2, it wasn't really that great. But I think it's scary in a different way. It's great that you picked that and that you saw it at a drive-in too.
Yeah.
I
You're
think, I
supposed to
think
be in a hospital. You're supposed to be safe in a hospital. And meanwhile, the
well,
killer's
see, and the thing about Halloween too, how do you follow up a movie like Halloween? Number one,
You
number
can't.
two, the characters exactly. The characters were not as anywhere as engaging as the three girls. The three girls in
Yeah.
that movie, and and I'm not bragging here, but I've met all three of them, and I've told all three of them, the combination of the three of you together is magic. It will never be done again. The way the three girls relate to one another and they're lovable. It's like you never want them to die because you just want to spend time after school getting high with them and doing all the things they do. It's like, fuck, I want to hang out with these three girls.
Right.
And that's why number two didn't work as well for me because I didn't have that fascination with all the characters. All the characters in Halloween were so three-dimensional. And with number two, what I found out, and if you seen it on the video with the extra footage and stuff, like have you seen
Yes.
you've seen the TV version, right? Where they
Mhm.
added some of the stuff and everything. So I know Bill loves Halloween too. We've talked about this over the years. Like he thinks it's fantastic. And I like the scenes that Carpenter went back in and refilmed. Like there were certain parts of that movie I really liked, and then I found out after I bought the Blu-ray that those were the ones that Carpenter went back in and redid, and I was like, wow, that's probably why I always liked them better. But I
Hmm.
get what you're saying. That being alone in that hospital at night and not having anybody
Yeah.
protect you,
It's terrifying.
horrifying.
Dare
Um,
I say, since there's a lull here, dare I say that Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 was actually really scary for that reason. Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought I really like his Halloween 2 because it's not connected to anything else. It's its own weird thing.
It's
Um,
weird. Yeah.
but yeah,
I agree.
anyway, sorry, I didn't want to butt in on your rant, Roger.
That's fine. So, one of the movies, of course, that you guys are playing at the Drive-In Super Monster Rama is The Terror. And I saw the end of that when it was on TV. I don't know, my parents and grandparents were watching it on TV. And I walked into the room and the lady gets struck by lightning and her face melts. And that just gave me nightmares for weeks. That just scared the shit out of me. But as an adult, I got a couple. When Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer came out, my friend Chris and I went and saw it. Mike, you know him, a close friend of ours. And we saw it. I'm trying to remember. I think it wasn't in Harvard Square. It was the one that's sort of near Fenway Park. Was it the Nickelodeon or something like that? Or I can't remember. It's not there anymore. It hasn't been there for years.
Yeah.
But anyways, we were terrified to walk to the car after that movie. And not that anything particularly scary happened, just the thought, like the whole thing was like a blueprint for serial killers. And there's this moment in the film where they're torturing this couple and they have the couple's video camera and they're filming them, what they're doing to this couple. And so as an audience member, you're participating in what's going on the screen because you're looking through the camera willingly because you have no other choice. You're in a movie theater.
Yeah.
So that put Michael Rooker on the map for me. Like I always love when he's in stuff. Ever since then. And then I got two more. So Human Centipede, when that came out, I saw that. And it took me 2 nights to watch it because it bothered the hell out of me. And I had nightmares both nights. And that was in 2009.
Wow.
And I will never, ever, ever watch that movie again.
I have never seen it and I don't want to.
No. And if you know the concept, I'm not even going to say it because it's just thinking about it. And, oh my God. My son, Spencer, you guys, some of you have met him, obviously. Him and I, we were at a convention in Worcester, Mass, and we were standing in line to talk to somebody from the Ghost Hunters. And I look over, and right next to them are the 3 young people from the victims in Human Centipede. And I just like almost freaked out. I'm like, I can't even look over at them. I'm not even going to go and talk to them. Literally, like I just seen the movie with them or 2, and
a missed opportunity.
I was not going to talk to them. But the last one I wanted to bring up was because this is another adult one. And Michael, you should remember this one when The Descent came out on video about the women cave exploring.
Yes, that's scary.
2005. We sat on my couch and we screamed like schoolgirls.
We screamed like schoolgirls. Yes. Yes, I remember that quite. Yes, I do. That scared the.
terrifying.
I'm lucky I didn't urinate all over your couch because that was really scary.
You know, the scariest part about that was just going into the cave, because that was scarier than the monsters. There was
By
that one part
itself.
where they had to like wriggle through a tiny little
Yeah.
crevice, and I was like, "Oh my fucking
I'm
god,
like,
no way!"
hell no! Like, what are you doing?
Exactly. Oh my God.
But that was terrifying movie.
I mean, I won't go on any further. Like I could talk about how the I Love New York commercial with Dracula used to scare the shit out of me, and I would run out of the room.
Yeah.
Mr. Yuck, the Mr. Yuck commercial made me run out of the room.
Was that Yuckmouth?
Mr. Yuck is mean.
Oh.
Mr. Yuck is green. I can still hear it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, folks, I think it's about time we wrap it up. So, George and Gene, thank you for joining.
Thanks for having us out. It's so nice
Thank you.
to be here.
So much fun.
Great.
I love doing this.
We'd like to tell people to try and get to your event. It's the Drive-In Super Monster Rama on September 27th and 28th at the Riverside Drive-In in Vandergrift, Pennsylvania. So for details,
You can get our autographs for free.
Yeah, there you go.
You don't
Absolutely.
charge. You don't charge. Not yet.
Oh
No,
my
we
God.
don't.
So,
Maybe in April we will.
Yeah. So, Bill, where can the folks find you online?
groovydoom.etsy.com. That's where you can buy Drive-In Asylum. And every Saturday night on the Groovy Doom YouTube channel and Groovy Doom Facebook, there's the Drive-In Asylum double feature. So
Awesome.
There you
Awesome.
go.
And folks, you can find me at havenpodcasts.com. Oh, and also there's a new place you can find me. I work for Soap Hub, soaphub.com, but now I picked up a second job at Soap Central. So I'll be writing, I'm
Wow.
basically the
Hey,
general
have
hospital guy
fun.
over there. So yeah,
Right.
writing thousands and thousands of words a day. But it's awesome. So I love it. So check it out, Soap Central. Look for me. Right now I haven't actually figured out my bio, or fixed my bio, I should say. So I'll do that. But if you guys could also put a like on our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube page, that would be awesome. That's youtube.com/user/UncleDeath1. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next month.
Hi, guys.
Say
Thanks for
goodnight.
everything.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
bye-bye.